Today I'm showing you how to make cultured butter. If you've never had cultured butter before, you are seriously missing out. It is so delicious and flavorful you'll want to spread it on your bread like it's hummus or dip or something. In a clean, sanitized container, combine 1 liter of double cream and 150 grams of yogurt with active probiotic cultures in it. Live culture yogurt is really easy to find at the store, so don't skip this step as the butter needs these active cultures from the yogurt to properly develop. Mix this all together, then cover with a towel. Try to use a towel that's really clean and doesn't have that kind of weird towel smell because fats absorb smells and flavors really efficiently, and we don't really want our butter tasting like old towel. Set this aside at room temperature for between 24 and 48 hours to ferment. How long the process takes will depend heavily on how warm it is where you live. I live in Scotland and it's cooler here, so I can leave mine for a little bit longer. You'll want to check on this periodically though and smell it to see how it's doing. We want it to smell tangy, sweet, and really intensely buttery. Once it's at this point, pop the cream into the fridge to chill for an hour. Then transfer it to the bowl of a stand mixer. Don't panic if your cultured cream is not as thick as this. Double cream here in the UK has a much higher fat content than standard whipping cream in North America, but as long as the fat content is at least 35%, which is what is in whipping cream, this will work no problem. Whisk this up until the butterfat granules start to form and separate from the buttermilk. You're going to want to turn the mixer down at this point or the buttermilk is going to splash everywhere. Place a strainer over a bowl and line this with cheesecloth or a large coffee filter, and then pour the mixture into strain. Once most of the buttermilk has strained out, squeeze out any excess moisture, and then you'll be left with beautiful golden butter curds and fresh buttermilk. Make sure to keep the buttermilk in the fridge to use in other recipes. I'm actually going to be using mine in a banana bread recipe that's going to be up on the channel next week. Now we're going to do a process called washing the butter. In ice cold water, we are essentially forming all these little curds together into one cohesive mass and squeezing out any remaining buttermilk. We want to keep kneading the butter in cold water with either very clean hands or a spatula until the water is clear. So you can use 2 bowls, switching back and forth, discarding the milky water each time you switch and replacing it with fresh water. Or the easiest way after you form the butter into one big mass is to just set the bowl under really cold running water and knead it until the water runs clear. Now that I've dumped off all the water, my butter is ready to salt. For a nicely salted butter, you want to aim for about 1.7% salinity. So to know how much salt to add, weigh out your butter. Mine here is 445 grams. And then take that number, multiply it by 0.017, and you'll get the amount of salt by weight in grams to add. So according to my calculation, I'll add in 7.5 grams of salt. I'm using some of this salt from the Isle of SKYE Sea Salt Company. Now all you have to do is stir this up. I'm just mixing mine in my stand mixer with the paddle attachment for a minute or two, and your butter's done. You can serve the butter as is, or you can lay out some cling film and gently form a little roll of butter, twisting the ends like so to tighten the roll. Place that in the fridge to firm up, and once it's chilled, unwrap it, slice it into rounds, and serve. I'm going to be eating my butter on a fresh sourdough baguette from Company Bakery here in Edinburgh. They now do a delivery service here in town, but I buy my company bread at a local cheese shop called MELLIS, which if you live here or are planning to visit Edinburgh in the future, you should definitely put that on your list of food spots to check out. Once you've tried cultured butter, you're going to wonder why you don't eat butter like this all the time. It's so rich and flavorful and just really tastes like what butter should taste like. None of the businesses or products I mentioned in today's video have sponsored me in any way or even know that I'm doing this. I just want to show my support for some of the companies I believe in and whose products I use and love, especially as things start to open back up here in Scotland. I'm actually working on a little Scottish series that will, fingers crossed, be premiering next week. So if you like this video and want to see more cooking content or Scottish-inspired cooking content, then consider subscribing and feel free to connect with me elsewhere at chefstudio_.